Good, how are you?
Grand you can be being a dead man, which surprised you well.
Well, everyone to look forward to. Okay, what I'd like to hear from Abraham about reincarnation. Well, you would have to ask Jimmy what he knows about reincarnation, and from your point of view, how does that work? Let's
But from my
start
own
with.
personal experience, I've never experienced reincarnation. I've only been on the physical side of life once. However, I'm aware of other entities who have a lot more experience than myself that do tell me that reincarnation does exist. Now, where the misunderstanding comes to your side of life is it's not the personality that returns, it's another aspect of the self. So the person you are now, the personality you are now, will only be on the physical side once. Once it returns to the spirit side of life, it will continue to grow and learn and experience within my side. However, as you progress within my side, you'll eventually get to a stage where you become aware of the different lives, the different aspects that you've been. Now, at the moment in your earthly life, you're only aware of the one perspective. You see each moment as a separate moment because of perspective. However, when you get to my side and you've advanced enough, if we use that as the right word, then you become aware of different perspectives and the different lives, the different aspects that you've been. But the personality in question will only be on your side the once.
So the difference between your view and Abraham's view, it's not a different view, it's the same view. He just has now the ability to see other lives. He part of his personality, part of his soul experience.
Indeed, from where I am in my progression, I'm only aware of the one lifetime at this moment. However, I have the awareness that as I progress, I will become aware of the different aspects and the different lives that I've lived.
So when they do this past life regression, what are they actually tapping into then into all the other aspects which are living and have lived and
So when we talk about past lives, we should be talking about other lives in general. You
yeah.
think of things as time as a linear process. However, your next lifetime, if you wanted to use that linear process, may not be in the future, it may be in the past. When we look into previous lives or other incarnations that you've had in the physical sphere, what you're drawing upon there is what aspects, what experiences from those lifetimes are you currently bringing into your current lifetime in order to experience from it or to learn from it.
So
So
you would
indeed,
have
sometimes you may become
also.
aware of different lives that you've lived, but other times you're aware of different aspects and different lessons. So sometimes it's not your own necessarily personal life that you're tapping into. You're tapping in more to the soul group there and the lifetime that's lived there. But what's important there is not the life in question. It's what experience or lesson you're taking from that moment.
Thank you, Jimmy. Jimmy, do you communicate only through this medium, and why did you choose him?
No, this is simply one medium who I've used as the mouthpiece for to come through and to talk. Now, I was asked to come through and be the mouthpiece with this medium because the medium's mind was more comfortable letting me come forward than a random stranger. I do work with other mediums and I do come through to other circles, but I won't always use this name or this personality. I sometimes come through as different names or a slightly different personality because of the egos in your side of life.
Why did you just say other strangers? So you already have a connection with that medium as a soul
Indeed,
group?
the medium's energy recognizes my energy. So it's better for my energy to come forward because there'd be less resistance from the medium's body than to get in a personality that doesn't resonate with the medium.
Okay, thanks. Um, they say the current average belief in spirit is about 3%. How long before it is over 5%? And can they be very effective? How then can they be very effective?
So to change your question slightly there so it can apply to everyone who may not understand percentages there, and I was never really good at maths and still am not. What I will tell you, the limitation you have with your side life is you have a physical mind and you're in a physical world, which is very limited. Now, if you were to able to see my side of life right now and then return to the physical sphere, your mind would have to interpret what you experienced and it would be limited in its understanding. So it would change a lot of the information of what you experienced from my side to make it fit with your side. And this is why you'll have people who have near death experiences. One may see a church on my side, the other will see a synagogue. Indeed, it's their own interpretation, their own belief systems, which changes the information to make sense to fit into the limitations of the physical world. So, indeed, trying to explain my side of life, we always have to limit it to what the mind will understand. So the spirit world is actually very different to the physical sphere, but it's also very similar in certain aspects. But whenever we give you a description of the spirit side of life, it's always a watered down version that the physical mind can understand. As your mind progresses, as your awareness progresses, as the veil between your side of life and my side of life grows thinner, then you'll have a better understanding. But the first steps would be to have a better understanding of the energy and the energy patterns within the physical sphere before we can progress that within to the spiritual sphere.
So that is the same, all the people who have OBEs, is that the same? It's depending on what they have learned already in how they can explain what they experienced?
Indeed, anyone who has an experience with my side of life, when they return that information to your side of life, it would always be filtered and understood by the mind. And this has to happen in order for the mind to make it a memory and to make sense of it. So it would always change the information to fit what it understands.
When people pass over to the spirit world, why and what is the reason behind why they cannot just show themselves to their loved ones whenever they want to, if life does really exist?
So the physical sphere exists for a reason. Mediumship exists for a reason. Certain lessons and experiences you have to go through require that there is a veil between your side of life and my side of life. When there's nothing more to be gained from that, then all upon your side of life will have the awareness that they are spirit first and foremost, and they'll be able to tap into those abilities. The reason those abilities are taken away from you or restricted while you're in a physical form is so that you can experience the lessons and experiences that your sphere offers that you don't get once you return to the spirit spheres. So indeed, for many on your side of life, their experiences and their lessons require them to have an awareness of my side of life. But for many, it's to go through the experience not having that awareness and not having that full belief in order to fully gain the experience they need to go through.
Thank you. There is a question. Can you tell me if we will be hearing from our oldest daughter? So could you just maybe expand on that in regards to many people are waiting for signs from their loved ones and it just doesn't happen. Can you talk about that, what it makes easier for us and how we block it?
Now, if you want to have a communication from my side of life and you're not getting that communication, it's not from my side of life, it's often your side of life that creates that blockage. Now, when somebody passes to my side of life, time is very different from us. So they can actually make contact with your side of life immediately as you experience time. However, because of the emotional grief that you go through, this creates a blockage. And actually, the more you want to hear from somebody, the more likely you are to block that energy. So indeed, where you are going to go seek out a medium or a seance or some form of contact with the spirit side of life, I would always advise you to set that intention, send the request, and then let it go. Because it's that emotional blockage and that energetic blockage from your side of life that often stops that contact. It's not that the loved one doesn't want to come through.
Thank you. Can you please explain what people see while using psychedelics? Is it a reality we can't see?
Indeed, sometimes using your psychedelics or other medicinal qualities within your side of life can make the mind and the perception more sensitive to the energies around it. Again, you are limited by the understanding of the mind and the mind trying to make sense of it. And you're more likely for the mind to change the information it's receiving or to water down the energy that it's receiving. But indeed, you are more sensitive to the energies around you and you're more sensitive to your awareness.
Thank you. How do we communicate with spirit at night when we are dreaming?
So in this case, I'd often advise most is to use that time to let your body recover. If there's information that my side of life needs to get to your side of life through your dream state, then we'll do that. But we'll do that at a time where it will allow your body to recover. We don't need you exhausting yourself at night and then being exhausted during the day. For indeed, many of you will try and make contact in the conscious mind when you're consciously aware or when you're awake. When you're asleep is when we're doing most of the work on the subconscious there. However, if you do want to do some work with my side of life, a good exercise you could try is writing down a question before you go to bed at night. And then when you sleep, keep that question in your mind. As soon as you wake up, write down any information that you get relating to that question. And that can start to teach the conscious mind to become aware more of the subconscious, to work in your dreamlike states.
Thank you. I would like to understand how spirits communicate from the other side. Could you explain how it works on the other side, whether you also have mediums like we do here, for example?
Indeed, just like you have mediums on the physical side, you have mediums on my side of life. Every individual in your side of life is a different energy. The way they utilize and understand that energy is different. So we have mediums on my side who understand the mediums on your side. So your loved one who doesn't have experience of necessarily working with mediumship or working with ectoplasm, we seek out those on my side who have that experience, and it'll be their job to carry the message across from my side to your side.
What or who are the orbs that show up in photos?
Now, a lot of times, this phenomenon that you experience has nothing to do with my side of life, either because you're misunderstanding it as something like dust or a fly, or because the energy is actually being conducted or controlled by your side of life, and it's more of a byproduct of what we're trying to do. However, at times, light phenomena, orbs, can be a form of intelligence. However, you want to see if there's an intelligence to it. If there is an intelligence behind it, then there's a communication coming through from my side of life. But a lot of times what you're experiencing is not from my side, or more of a byproduct of what we're trying to do with you.
Thank you. Jimmy, can you please talk about the changes that are happening in our world at the moment, especially the awakening of humanity generally? Will our consciousness alter, and will we become more aware of those in spirit?
So as I look down the timeline, I can advise that yes, mankind is becoming more sensitive. You're not gaining anything new. It's more that you're tapping into abilities that you've forgotten about. Indeed, you are spirit first and foremost. Because you've allowed matter to become your master, you have forgotten that. So the more you can become aware that you are a spirit first and foremost, the more sensitive you become, the more aware you become between your side and my side. And indeed, as you go forward in your timeline, the veil between your side and my side is growing thinner. However, this is not going to happen overnight. And I know that there's many on your side who still believe that one day you're going to wake up on another planet with wings and abilities that you haven't seen before. To this, I would often say, if you can't take care of the planet you've been given, why would we give you another to destroy? This is a misconception, and it's an exaggeration of what's actually going to occur. But indeed, yes, you are becoming more sensitive. And mankind is progressing a stage where they'll have a choice whether they want to progress materialistically or they want to progress energetically.
Thank you, Jimmy. Are more UFOs actually being seen now?
Indeed, they are. You are working closer towards your disclosure. And this is being tackled from both sides here. From the side trying to help your planet, they're trying to make their awareness known in a gentle way so that when they do publicly make themselves known to you, it'll be acceptable. But on the other hand, you have many groups there which are trying to instill fear and to put entities not of your planet as the enemy rather than a friend. And to this, I can advise you, if they truly wanted to do you harm, you would have no conscious awareness that the harm was being done to you. If they wanted to get rid of you, they'd get rid of you. They wouldn't wait around for you lot to cause trouble for them where they're trying to get away from you. So indeed, those working with your planet are trying to help your planet.
Thank you. The year 2027 has been mentioned to the incredible challenging and rocky for the USA. Can you comment on geopolitical issues for all the USA, specifically as far as the year goes? Thank you.
So I'm not going to give you the specific year, but what I can say in regards to this area going forward, what this relates to is more to do with the natural environment in itself and changes occurring to that environment.
Yes, somebody asked me the other day, I forgot. So they were all told 2025 is a big year for humanity in changes. Why would that be?
Again, this misconception here, which is why I don't want to stick to years. Indeed, I don't want you to be cancelling your holidays or spending all your life savings because you're expecting something to happen on a certain date. And indeed, every year is important. You are going through a great time of change. You're going through great wars, great famines at the moment, great diseases at the moment. And you're not at the end of this. You still have more to come, and there's more escalation in all of these areas to come. But we're not done with mankind. We're not done with your planet. And indeed, it's in your darkest moments that you're learning the most. So you're actually going through a great time of learning and progression and a raising of awareness. But I wouldn't specifically set yourself on one date or for things that all end after a certain date, because each of these steps will take a long time as you experience time.
Thank you, Jimmy. When a group of people are sitting for physical mediumship, how do they decide which medium should be in the cabinet?
I suppose whoever bought the cabinet should probably have priority. That's normally how your satellite tends to do it. Traditionally, the best advice I give you if you're going to sit as a standard group is to all sit in the power, allow yourself to go into that power, and eventually my side of life will start to step forward, will begin to communicate through the certain mediums, and through that they'll establish the way forward.
Mm-mm. This is how Kai started. He sat for 10 years in a group. Okay. Is it true that when we sleep at night, our spirit leaves our body and only returns when it is time to wake up?
So there's a slight misconception there. The spirit doesn't actually leave the body while you are physically alive, is probably the easiest term to use. Only when that spark leaves will the physical body return to its dust and ashes. And that's the only time it would break the connection from the physical side to my side. However, what does happen is your awareness of my side of life does become more aware, is more sensitive. You do, in a sense, download what you're about to experience in the physical spirit when you next wake. But there's a lot of misconception there.
Thank you. Okay, when will we get a sterilizing vaccine so that COVID-19 will be less transmissible, and will it block the virus from hiding in our organs, manifesting disease years later?
Sadly, I wouldn't hold your breath on this one here. There's going to be many adaptations there, and it's going to keep a lot of people very rich for very long. But I don't see an end of this coming anytime soon as you experience time.
Thank you. Can you please explain time slips into the future? Has the future already happened?
Indeed, every moment that will ever occur is occurring right now. It's only your perspective which makes you deem each moment as a separate moment. So every birth, every death is occurring right now.
Can you explain that maybe in another way? It is very hard. We can't understand it.
So the human mind thinks of time as a linear process. They think of the universe as an expansion, when actually every moment, every breath, every birth, every death, every love is occurring right now. Because of your perspective, it makes every moment seem like a separate moment, when actually all you're doing is you're shifting your awareness from one perspective to another, which the human mind interprets as a moment. But actually, all of those moments are occurring right now. Eventually, when you get to my side of life and you're able to progress to a certain point, you'll become aware of all those different perspectives as that one moment. But you'll be able to also experience them as individual moments if you want to.
So that's what Abraham is able to do now, yes?
Indeed, yes. But the concept of time is an illusion of perception.
Thank you. Can you explain a dream catcher's purpose? Does it block all dreams or only bad ones?
Now, a lot of this is going to be down to the intentions behind it, not just of those who've created it, but those that use it as well. Any changes that occur in your energy require your permission on some level. So indeed, the more you can set the intention and work with this device, the better able it's going to be able to achieve what you want it to achieve. So indeed, I can't give you a straight answer here because it will have limitations and different expectations depending on the individual. But I can say it has the full capacity to affect all dreams if the right intention is set.
Thank you. Can solid form be made with photoplasm as it is with ectoplasm? If you could give a thought, please.
Indeed, everything we can do with ectoplasm, we can also do with photoplasm. The only reason we still work with the ectoplasm is my side of life will have more control with the ectoplasm compared to the photoplasm, which is much more easily influenced by your side. But everything that can be done with the ectoplasm can also be done with the photoplasm.
So will you, from now on forward, will many more mediums be developed because you use photoplasm mainly?
There'll still be some mediums and some groups where predominantly we will work with ectoplasm.
Okay, thank you. Now, are there any ghost hunting gadgets or tools that are good at capturing real evidence?
A really good cheap one you could use is a medium. Well, they seem to be hard to get within your side of life.
Well, yeah. When sitting for
Otherwise,
physical, sorry, keep going.
otherwise, if you're going to use technology, then very much my side of life will still work very much better with your analog compared to digital. But we are learning to work around that and to progress with it. If you're going to work with lighting, again, we'll work better with halogen compared to LED. But given enough energy and enough development, my side of life should be able to work with any gadget that you can provide.
Thank you very much. When sitting for physical mediumship, why is music important?
Music is a constant source of energy, so it's a constant sort of vibration for us to work upon and utilize. However, we can also use music to help distract the mind. We can help use music because of its emotional state it has on you. We can use those emotional states to help us achieve what we want to achieve or to help us to harmonize.
Thank you. If you wanted to ask Spirit to help you with something in your life, can and will they help you? And when you have asked and nothing happens, even though you put every effort to something you are trying to do, but find many months later nothing is progressing, does that mean also you are not meant to be doing something? Whew.
Well, there's multiple ways to answer this question here. To put it in basic terms here, we'll always try to help, but we understand the life lesson that you've chosen for yourself, the experiences you've chosen to go through. So as much as you may want something because the conscious mind, the material mind wants it, we may have the better understanding that actually that's not what you actually want or what you actually need. So we'll still help you as much as we can. It just may not be in the way that you consciously think we need to. On the other hand, there still needs to be work done from your side of life to help us achieve what we need to achieve. So, for example, you may be praying for yourselves to win the lottery and you may be destined to win the lottery, but we still require your side of life to buy a ticket to make it happen.
So is that the same in circles when mediums have, physical mediums, they want, say, apports or they want materialization and nothing else? Are they blocking that as well?
At times. Now, sometimes if you come together with the intention and it's within your capacity or within your energy, having that intention can actually help speed up the process. At other times, if that capacity is not in your energy, then it could be creating a blockage against what we're actually trying to do with you.
Thank you. Where does consciousness reside in the human body? Is there an entry and exit body part, chakra or gland?
There's no set point. It's only because of your structure with the eyes that you imagine the brain as it is. But actually, consciousness resides within all the cells working together like a big organ there to create the consciousness and to create the conscious experience. It's made up from all the information, all the energy which is received by all the cells in the body.
Thank you. If somebody has dementia, does their spirit fit in between our side of life and spirit world?
So sometimes when you have a condition of the physical mind, it can make you more sensitive of the spirit world before you physically depart. However, it doesn't mean that you have any more ability compared to anyone else. Because of the limitations placed upon the mind, it just makes you more aware of what's actually there compared to those who are distracting themselves with full capacity of the mind.
Is that the same when people are close to passing, that they see their loved ones?
Indeed, because the body is going through a process of shutting down, it makes those parts which are sensitive to my side more aware. But everyone has this ability. It's just closed off because of the other functions going on that you don't notice it.
Thank you. How can we use our thoughts to bring peace to the world?
So I'd start with peace within yourself here. And you have to understand as well, yours is a world of duality. If you could decide on one religion, you'd start a war of what to call a religion. So working for world peace there is only going to cause a war because your idea of world peace would be different to someone else's, and they'll go to war over it for peace. So everything that you experience in your day-to-day life is your reality. It's your creation. So if there's something within your reality you don't like, you need to find that aspect, that energy within yourself and make the change there rather than try to make the changes in others. That, again, in a basic form, should cover everyone for that question.
Thank you. What qualities are you looking for in the medium?
The easiest and the biggest quality that we look for is to allow my side of life to do the work. Sounds simple, but it's extremely hard. Now, your side, I've complained that it's hard to work with my side. It's 10 times harder working from my side, trying to get through to your side. And when your side make the mistake, it's my side that gets the blame. So indeed, if you want to be a medium, then you are acting as a tool from my side of life to work with your side of life. The more you can be aware of that and allow yourself to be a tool, the better the result will get. The more you try to stay in control and direct it yourself, the more you're going to influence and change what we're trying to achieve.
Thank you. Many people, including myself, are looking into their ancestral lines. Is this helpful for us?
If you have an interest in it, then by all means. Especially if you want to look at things like your health or what you may be taking on energetically. But again, the question here, if you want to look at the bigger picture, is you want to be asking yourself why you're manifesting this or why you've drawn this energy into your current lifetime and what it is you're trying to experience or teach yourself so that you don't then suffer from it or hold on to it longer than you need to.
Thank you. Are there parallel worlds where we are living separate lives in both worlds at the same time?
There is. Now, there's some misconception here. Everything that can be experienced needs to be experienced. So there are a multitude of timelines and lifelines. However, these are different personalities. Even up to a certain point, they may have carried out every action that you have in the same way. It is another personality.
After journaling your dreams, what is the best way tools to use to help interpret, decode, and understand the messages from the dreams?
So the simplest form would be to be putting one question down before you go to sleep. And then when you wake up, writing down all information that relates to that question. From that, you'll be able to start to direct what it is you want to interpret or what you want to become consciously aware of. From that, you can then, once you have a grip of it, move on to what my side life are trying to show you, and then we can expand your awareness. But until we can teach your mind to be able to latch onto a bit of information and to retain that information, that I would stick with the one question and build that muscle. And with that, I shall now return the medium to you. Till we speak again, from the love inside, you take it with you.
Thank you very much, Jimmy.
Thank you, Jimmy.